Hey, good afternoon. We are live with you today. We're talking ACT and the AI and some of the tools we've been doing, or ACT and SAT and the use of AI tools to do that. So I'm Dale Callahan, and I am just trying to. We've been trying to help a lot of people through ACT, SAT. It's a question at this time of year. It seems like at this time of year we get more questions about that than we do normally. And what I was, have talked about this the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that we've noticed is one of the things we've been pointing out is we have a partner that's been doing this for years that's linked to our website that has the full blown ACT, SAT uh, courses, everything that you need. But we're finding a lot of people don't want that. And I think what we see is when we look at most of the ACT, SAT prep information out there, it's a little bit overwhelming. So what we wanted to do today is cover something a little bit different is how do you use some of your AI tools? And I know a lot of people get really freaked out about AI tools and they're getting nervous about them and they don't like them. And we hear all of that, but we want to talk about and just kind of show you some of the tools. We'll use Chat GPT, probably the most popular of them, or I guess I should say the most well-known tool is Chat GPT. We'll use it. So even though people don't like AI, I mean, I'm finding either people don't like it, don't trust it, can't stand it, and I'm including in that people who are technologists and engineers or they just don't know about it at all. And for our kids, this is a resource that, well, I'm sorry, this is the way things will be done. It's kind of like us ignoring Google years ago. So, but what we want to look at is kind of combine the issue of, hey, I'm trying to prep for an ACT or SAT. And this is just one of the minor things that we can do with this tool. But I just want to show you from a student or parent or teacher perspective, some of the things that we might can do with a tool like a Chat GPT. And it's not the only one, but it's the Claude is another one that would be good in this category. But they all work kind of alike. So I hope to accomplish two things today, and that is to show you how this tool works, how we can do that, and to kind of demonstrate, take away some of the uh, mysteriousness of it, of the tool, or add to it, depending on how that goes, and you'll see what I mean. But in the comments, we have some of the what I'm going to do, and that should be in the comment anyway, is a download to our PDF. It's free, and it's going to be some of the examples we use today. It's just a guide on using AI to prep for the ACT or SAT. It's not limited to that, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm just going to show you live a couple of things. So let's talk first about the issue of ACT, SAT, anything big like that that's looming in somebody's life. Is what do you do? The hesitation of what do you do? The reason people hire coaches like us, or some of the people who have the full blown ACT, SAT type material, is they don't know what to do. It's overwhelming. So we need a plan. So what I want to do first, and I'm just going to let me see if I can do a screen share. Let's get back over here. I'm going to take you, and we're just going to live do some things. And you have the ability to, if you want to shout out and ask questions, or I know many people watch this after the fact and on YouTube and those things, feel free to ask us questions. I mean, that's our job, is we're here to help. But I'm going to pull up right here in front of me. I am in Chat GPT. And so I'm in the link. Don't worry about this. In the link, you could type Chat GPT and go straight to it. If you don't have an account, it's free. This one is not, but everything I'm going to do is pretty much what you can do free. And it's easy to sign up to. They're not asking for credit cards. They're not asking for anything like that to sign up. I think it's your name. They may ask for a telephone number just as a verification, and an email. Very simple. And it seems like you could sign up through Google or Facebook or one. I forget which one. It's been a while. But this is the tool. And so what we want to do right now is just think about how do you and your son or your daughter or whoever is thinking about doing the ACT and they're just a little overwhelmed, you can sign up for this program, you can sign up for that program, you can go buy a book. What do you do? And that sounds silly, but having a plan is probably the first important thing. Just knowing what to do. So I'm going to just right here in ChatGPT. And by the way, in this is what it pretty much looks like when you open it. You have a side window that shows you everything you searched before, but that's, I use this almost on an hourly basis. But this little window is what we call a message chat, and you'll see all the time people call them prompts. Prompt is just another word of way. It's a fancy way to saying the questions you ask. So if you want to call it a prompt, call it a prompt. But I think we called it a prompt just to be consistent. So in the download, we will show you how to get on here and show you the link to do this. It's not really a big thing, but let's say I want to study, and I'm just going to cut and paste something right here, and I'm going to cut it and paste it from our study guide that we're delivering you. When you cut and paste out of a Microsoft Word document, you get this kind of thing. You don't always have to have it. I'm going to hit remove. I'm going to get rid of the quotes here because I don't really need them. I didn't mean to do that. But you'll notice this is just a statement. It says, I am taking the ACT, SAT in X months. I need this study plan to help me focus on my weak areas, math, reading, writing, create a weekly schedule. I'm just going to get rid of some of this. These things in brackets, this is just our typing, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. I'm just going to say we're going for the ACT, so I'm going to change that to ACT, and we're going to take it in 3 months. I'm getting rid of all these extra brackets. So I'm taking the ACT in 3 months. I need a study plan. Basically, this is a cry for help. What do I do that focuses on my weak areas? Let's not be ridiculous. All of the areas are my weak areas. Actually, we don't know, right? Is part of the problem. We may have an inkling where we're weak at. So I'm just going to say I need a study plan. Period. The ACT, SAT both have different things to do. Now, since I've said the ACT and I've said 3 months, I'm feeding it some information it needs. I need a study, and I'm saying what I want from you is a weekly schedule. So I'm going to go over here and just hit enter. There's nothing magical about this. I said 3 months. It's coming back here is a 12-week ACT study plan. And it gives me some general information. And this is common of the ChatGPT and the other AI tools. You give it some things, it will give you some common information. So it's saying, hey, generally, we would suggest 4 days a week, some rest days. AI knows about the Sabbath. It's built in. So we have weeks 1 and 2, foundation and strategy. Day 1, take a diagnostic test. So what it's saying is go out, take one of these diagnostic tests. I don't have it in front of me, but there's, buy one of those big old fat ACT books. When you buy those giant ACT books, they're daunting in themselves, but you can turn to it, take a diagnostic test, time yourself, boom. Now you got a landmark. This is where you are. Reviewing the mistakes and analyzing weak areas. And then it's pointing out day 3, we want to work on English and grammar. Day 4, we want to work on math. We go into week 2. Now, if you're like me and you're just looking at this, you're like, okay, well, that's a little fuzzy. But there's a plan, right? There's week 1, week 2, week 3 to 6, skill development in doing these things. So this is a great starting place. And now if you're sitting here thinking, well, this doesn't really tell me what I want, but this is exactly what you want. You want a plan and not to be overwhelmed. We now know what to do on day 1, take a diagnostic test. We also, when we come to day 2, we know that it looks like we want to grade the test and look at our mistakes and think where are weak areas. And what that generally would mean is I really am terrible at one of the 3 major subjects. and I'm really strong in one or the other. And so then it kind of takes us down through some of these to do. So, but I want to just stop right here and say, because that's let me look at some of the other prompts that we have here. With this guide, though, we have a plan. All right. So what I want to do, and this is the part about the AI tools that I think gets people a little freaked out. And you'll go on all these social media sites and they'll say, download my AI prompts or ChatGPT prompts or whatever. At this point, you can just talk to it. We have what we need. We have a plan, but I'm on day 2, and well, let's say, I'm on day 3. On week 1, day 3, it says English, grammar, punctuation, rhetorical skills, plus 30 minutes of reading practice. I wake up, or your son or daughter comes to day 3 and says, Mom, Dad, I don't know what that means. So you can go back to your ChatGPT tool and say, and I'm just going to talk to it because that's just faster. So I'm putting on this on voice recognition. So if I sound weird, that's why. So go to week 1, day 3, and give me details about what I would do for English and this 30 minutes of reading practice. Period. I need step-by-step instructions of how to use my time that day. All right, I'm turned off voice. So you see what I am doing is just talking to the machine as if I was talking to a human. That really, really bothers people sometimes, but this is just, it works. So let's see what it does. Now I have a couple of things in here. I have a typo, or I don't know what it is when you speak it and you say the wrong word. I guess that's a wordo instead of a typo. But anyway, there it is. I'm going to hit enter. And so now it's got all the stuff it had up top, and now I'm going down to the bottom. And by the way, we didn't go through all this. You can see it goes up to week 12. But now it's filling in my next question. It says, okay, in week 1, day 3, spend 2 hours of English. And here's telling us what it's to do. We're going to focus on sentence structure and rhetorical skills. So step 1, we're going to warm up, read 3 ACT English passages without answering them, skim quickly. So if you have one of the books, that's perfect because they're in there. If we don't, we can deal with that in just a minute. Mark confusing sentences or rules you're unsure about and take quick notes. Why does the comma go here? Why does this have an apostrophe? Things like that. So then we're going to do a time practice. Use a real ACT practice section. Download it from actprep.org. That's what I've been showing the last couple of weeks. You can go to actprep.org and get some of these practice questions. Set a timer for 25 minutes. And so what it's basically doing, though, he's just telling me exactly what to do. And he's telling me about how much time this should take, about 25 minutes on this, about 30 minutes on this. And you're getting some clues. If you know nothing about this exam, you're getting some clues here, what's in it, comma splices, modifier errors. And it says pick 10 type of rhetorical questions from the book. Drink water, stretch, and reset your mind. So that's for the student, but it's maybe for the parent too, depending on how that goes that day. But let's just say for a minute, and I don't know what's going to happen here. So I don't have an ACT guide. I don't have one in front of me. So it says read 3 ACT English passages. So I'm going to, no, let's not do 3. I'm going to cut and paste that down here and say, give me an example of, and I'll just paste that down, ACT English passages. So I'm just saying, I don't have the book with me. So what does this passage look like? And so now it's going to give me a passage that looks almost like it comes out of the ACT. So it says, read the passage below and answer the questions that follow. This looks a whole lot like the ACT exam. So it gives you this passage, the history of chocolate. And I did not load that one up, but that seems like a reasonable one to me. And then it gives us some ACT type questions. And these look like the kind of questions you would get and give you the answer. I don't know how many it's going to give us. I'm going to guess it's going to give us about 10. And we won't follow this through, but it's creating content. Now, so if you're logical questioning, you might say, how do I know this is an ACT exam? How do I know this is of the real caliber? How do I know this is, anything like the ACT? Because the engine here, the ChatGPT, is not inventing this stuff. It has read all of the ACT books. That's what they taught when they call these things learning models. They feed them, the science, the engineers, they fed them, if you will, all of these books. So all the books are in here. The ACT guides are in here, and it's just really nothing but a big giant web search. And it's searching through that material that's already out there that's well known. Now, can it have errors? Yes. Is it possible you will find something down here and you say, I don't think that answer is really B. I think it's C. Yes. Yeah, those things happen. But it's less and less pretty much every week. But here we can just see that we are basically creating a study plan. And we are from that study plan trying to then figure out what to do. Now, I'm going to just stop there. I mean, if you got questions, I'm not really monitoring them, but if you got questions, throw them in there. I will monitor them. That sounded silly, didn't it? I'm not going to listen to your question, but if you ask them, just ask anyway. But no, we will try to catch them. One of us will catch them and make sure we get them answered, including asking us the questions at support@AskDrCallahan.com after the fact, because sometimes that's just easier. One of the things that I kind of went through that exercise, and I did that intentionally because the initial 12-week plan that I asked for left something to be desired for me. For the typical human student, whatever, that is trying to study, I need tell me exactly what to do. Because when I look over here and say, day 3, reading, look at the main ideas and detailed questions, what does that mean? And that's why I wanted to follow it up with, hey, help me out. What does that mean? So that's why I came down here and asked that. And I can continue that. I can say, hey, you said to, do a timed practice test with a real ACT practice session. I could say, create for me, I'm not going to do this because just to bore you, but create for me an ACT practice session for the ACT English. And it should know how many questions there are. I don't know how many that there are for that, but it looks like maybe 15 questions. But set a timer. I'm sorry. You could tell it to create the test, basically. Now, here is a hint I have noticed about ChatGPT. It's better to ask it small chunks, like give me the first section. Like if I say, give me an entire ACT math exam, which I think is 40 questions of math. Sometimes it's not as good as if I say, give me the first 10 questions, give me the next 10 questions, give me the next 10 questions, because for some reason it's just chunk, maybe its brain blows up. But it just doesn't always give you, when you ask for a huge volume of information at once, it's not the best. So it's kind of for your human brain to break this up a little bit and say, hey, give me the first 5 questions of, what does this English part look like? And the more of course, the more your student knows, the more they can feed this and tell it what they need. Now, so this is just kind of us looking at. This is really all I'm trying to do is demonstrate how do you get a plan together. I could ask it for more detail. I could come back and say, look, my student has ADHD and has a hard time focusing. Periods. How do I take that into account when preparing for this test so that they can get the best score that they can? Period. How do I create for them a plan that's doable, that they know exactly what to do, and that's broken up in enough time, period. Now, if you're paying attention to me, you're seeing that everything I just did has wrong typos. I mean, I have question periods where question marks went and wrong words. And sometimes that matters, but 90% of the time it figures it out. I spend most of my time talking to these machines just like I am right now. Um, uh, I don't spend most of my time talking to machines. That sounded weird. When I'm using these machines, I'm usually talking to them and not typing because I can't type very fast. But here this is kind of just a practical question, right? For the typical student out there, who I think our typical student probably we would say has ADHD, because that's just the culture we live in, or whatever thing is going on. So here's saying, the structure: bite-sized sessions, interactive learning, movement breaks. Boom, that kind of got the big deal for me. So here's an ADHD friendly 12-week study plan, and it's going to create for me. Now, and obviously we know our student knows themselves, and they can now look at these things and say, hey, on Monday it says this, give me more detail, but I can only go 15 minutes at a time. Whatever you got to do, you can talk to it as if it knows who you are. So now here's a couple of the beauties of this thing. So we have just been sitting here and asking a few questions, and notice here is a whole lot of information. This can get overwhelming in itself, but I can come back to this chat. Like, let me just come over here. If you look over here, this chat, well, let's get off of it for a minute. That was not the best choice of things to click. Okay, if I come back over to it, you will see this chat, ACT 12. It will be in the feed, and I can go right back to it. So once you log in, you can go right back to where you were and just start asking questions again, and it will remember the conversation. This is like if you did a Google search for something in detail, and now you came back to your computer and you said, I want to continue that Google search. We can do this here. We can just say, I can say, now go back to what you said, on week 5, Wednesday, break this out in details for me. So that hopefully that helps on that one part. The other thing that you would notice, if you want to capture this, the best way I find to capture this is just cut and paste it into a Word document, and then you can delete things. It does not print in a friendly way yet. So if I just try to say, hey, this is all great, I want to print this screen, at least the last time I tried, and they do literally change this every day. So as soon as you go in there, you're going to say, well, Dale, there's a print button right here. And I don't see that, but if you see that, let me know, because I haven't seen it yet. They do have something they did not have in this just a couple of weeks ago. Any of you that have used it, they have a search button now. You can search over your chats, that's cool. They didn't have that. All right, so let me jump in. Again, what I'm using is the questions that are in the chat or in the comments. Is we have a downloadable PDF. It's free, and it's got some of these things in it. I'm not going through all of it, but I'm just kind of trying to show you what we could do. And I've kind of shown you a couple of these things already. So let me say, let's just come down here and say, let's just go with the math section. And I'm going to just talk to it. Now, to help me practice math, give me 10 math problems from the easy level to the hard level, with answers A through E, just like I would see on the test. Period. Also give me the correct answer. period. So now I'm asking it to just generate some practice problems for me for the math. And notice I said from the easy to hard, because there are when I look in the mathematics section, actually when I look in all of the sections of the ACT or the SAT, there are the hard questions and there are the easy questions. And it's going to give it to you, and just I mean I love this thing about it because it's given me more than I asked for, and usually it does. So here's a simple problem. Notice it says, and it's labeling them as easy, and it's kind of telling you here. Not only does it give you that the answer is A, but it tells you about how we got to it. But if we come down here, we got linear equations, and this was a little harder. It's a medium level question. And he's giving you the answers. Now, this is not strategy. What I'm talking about right now is just how do you create some content for your son or daughter, or how do they create content for themselves to practice? Answering these is, remember, their strategy. So we'll see. So this thing is going to go for a minute because I ask it math questions. Now, again, I can cut and paste all of this. Now, if you are cutting and pasting mathematics, notice these are equations. Sometimes it's a little less predictable what you get inside of Microsoft Word. And again, it's probably the easiest thing to do is cut and paste it. And so where you see this thing up here where it says 2 raised to the 6th power, it may print a little different than that. You may say 2 parentheses 6, or you may see some other kind of notation if you're going straight into Microsoft Word. So the mathematics is where you still get the problems and it's still pretty good, but math symbolism doesn't go into Microsoft Word directly. But that's, you still can look at this screen here. But so we're noticing then some quadratic equations. We have some hard equations. And it's interesting that it's calling this a hard but and then it says trigonometry, which is the hardest. Now, one of the other things I would want to know is in solving math problems, I'm talking about strategy. So here we are. And this is the other thing. So would you like, it's just asking me, would you like a custom study tracker or step-by-step explanations of each question? Let me know. So I can just say, yes, that's what I want to happen. Or no, I don't want that. I want this. Or I want you to break out number 9. I want you to give me a whole lot more problems like number 9, because number 9 is where I'm weak. You don't have to tell it you're weak there. But just to tell it what you're asking for. Speak in plain language. So the secret to this tool, as I hope you can tell, is just give it the information, give it context, tell it what you want, but feed it with enough information that that it will begin to know. If I came back to this, or if you came back to this later and said something like, I'm trying to help my son study, and we need this, it will likely come back to you and say, since we know your son has ADHD, it's going to remember that. Now, I'm not saying that to freak you out. I'm just saying it will remember that, and then it will take that into account and how it gives you the answer. And if you want to say, no, forget the ADHD part, and it will adjust to that. Or, I'm dealing with another student now, but that's not their issue. So, okay. All right, let's see. let me stop right there with that part. Let me see where we are. All right, so I'm going over here trying to look at what else we wanted to make sure we covered. So we wanted to make sure we covered how to create a plan, creating practice questions with explanations. That's perfect. The math part, I have seen the more data I ask of it, the more likely it is to make an error. Just like before, if I threw a problem at it, it would likely not give me an error. If I ask it for 20 problems and a detailed answer, and it will give me more detailed answers, then I start to get an error. Uh, so, so practice questions, that's what we did. AI for essay and grammar. So one of the things that we could do here that one of the super powerful things that helps me be better at writing something, and obviously you have a grammar section, and it's debatable for some of you whether you want to do the writing section or not. You can take a piece of writing and you can cut and paste it. So your student, for instance, your son or daughter, might write an essay, and you want them to be able to learn without you sitting there with your nice little red pen and hoping you get it right. You want to help them to learn the right way to write the essay. So one of the let me see if I just got here something right here in front of me while we're doing this. one of the a tool that's probably one of the most common uses of these platforms, ChatGPT and things like that, is to take things like emails and you cut and paste. So let me just find a random thing that's in here that has been sent to me. Oh, here we go. All right, so I'm literally grabbing something from the web. So this is just it's a little article that was sent to me, and I'm just going to cut and paste. So was sent to me in an email, and I'm not judging them. I meant to go back here. Let's go back here to the. And I'm going to open up a new chat just for this because this is totally different. So I'm going to go over here and say new chat, blank screen. And I'm going to say, so just pretend this is your son or daughter's writing. And you say, well, let me do it like I've been doing it. Here is a sample of my son's writing, period. Review this as if he is writing an essay for the ACT or SAT. Period. Don't just correct it, but give feedback and show the mistakes made. Period. Okay, so I've set the thing. I'm looking at an ACT, SAT level. I'm saying give some feedback on this, and I'm going to put in this in quotes because this is something I'm putting in here. And I just have cut and pasted this little chunk from an email that's advertising something to me. And so it's going to go analyze this and say, your son's writing is clear, professional, and well-structured. Well, good, because it was a professional email that was sent to me that was marketing. Below is a breakdown of the strengths and weaknesses. So it's telling me where it's strong, and it's telling me where to improve it. So it says on the ACT, essays typically require argumentation, how to improve, sentence variety and transitions, how to improve. So this is a professional email that I copied and pasted. So that was probably a bad example. If I would have pasted one of my own emails in there, it would have been a much better example, but I couldn't find one quickly. But it will tell you what's wrong. Now, I like this as far superior to me than just correcting Johnny and Susie's writing, because what it's doing is it's interacting with them about what they're writing, and they can say, and you could say, take this and correct it for proper grammar on the ACT, and give a list of the corrections you made and why. And so real time, your student would be seeing, here's what I put in, here's what's wrong. And it may say you've used the wrong punctuation, you've used the wrong tense on a word, you're leaving out, some words that need to be here. And it'll explain to them what they do. So this is a powerful tool for that, because in just doing this right here, we're learning. I'm seeing, and that's the whole point, right? I I'm seeing it analyze my work. Now, me and you and ChatGPT might analyze it. We might have different opinions about things. That's okay. But clear problems like grammar, sentence structure, things like that are going to, stand out really loudly and be powerful things to do this. Another tool that's really great for teaching writing is a tool called Grammarly. And we'll put a post to it, also a link. It's another tool that's free. It can have a paid version also, but it's made for just what it says: checking grammar, checking spelling, and it's far superior to like Microsoft Word spell check. It will again say, hey, what are you writing this for? Is this for an informal email, or is this for a business email, or is this for a classroom? And it will analyze your tone and structure as well as grammar and everything else, and really help sharpen up what you're doing. It's a tool I used to use every day but pretty much I use ChatGPT and one of the other AI tools. It's also an AI tool. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's. We are at the 30-minute point, which is where I'm supposed to be out of here. But again, we have a download that is going to be. It's a free resource. We're not charging for it. It's just it's a prompt, and it showed some of the prompts I'm using before. And again, prompts are the things that you stick into ChatGPT, and it will even tell you in this, just continue on and continue asking questions and talking to the machine, if you will. All right. I hope this helps. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to us. I mean, there's two things like this: share what we're doing, just share it out, tell your friends everything, because we're always being told that people are looking for resources and they don't know where to look. We will oftentimes get those phone calls, get those emails, and they have found us because they don't know where to look, and it's because somebody shared. And that's what we're here to do, is help. In terms of the ACT and SAT, we got some of this and some other resources. But I think this is a great place to start to get a plan, even if you go out and get some tutoring help, or you get some classroom instruction, or if you even sign up with our program, then this is a great place to help you get started of what you need to be doing. All right, we will call it a day with that, and we will be back here next Thursday. We will see you then.